At an old, run-down shrine deep in the forest, cracks begin to spread across its worn surface. The sound grows sharper until the entire structure shatters apart, fragments scattering while the scene shifts to reveal Zegard, the Prince of Destruction. He declares that from this day forward, 3 days remain for him to wipe out every last human and shape this world for his race. Standing beside him, Milky addresses him formally, calling him young master, but he corrects her with pride, insisting that such a title no longer suits him, for today marks the beginning of his first conquest as a proper warrior. She acknowledges his resolve, though he repeats that to a true warrior, such a name would indeed be disrespectful. Soon after, voices rise in light contrast. A girl casually calls him Zegaki, drawing a startled reaction from another who thinks the address too friendly. She defends herself by saying it feels natural, yet he protests further, questioning if even the King of Destruction should be spoken of in such a way. The girl denies showing disrespect, insisting she would never treat His Majesty in that manner, though she continues dropping titles when speaking of Zegard. Annoyed but resigned, the boy mutters about her casualness while the conversation turns serious again, as they speak of Zegard's duty to conquer this world. Their exchange flows into a heavier truth. They reflect that the people of destruction survive only by destroying everything around them, even their own homeland, which they poisoned and exhausted until no life could remain. Zegard states that this is why they now come to claim a new world, and Milky confirms that such is their way of life, for once a world is ruined, they must move on to conquer another. Zegard accepts this as his birthright, declaring that today marks the start of his first conquest, for invading other worlds is the burden carried by the royal family. The scene shifts to violent destruction as Milky stands amidst a thunderous blast, the ground shaking with booming echoes and heavy crashes. From the distance comes the sound of celebration, drawing her attention. She wonders about the noise, and another explains that it is called a festival. Milky repeats the word uncertainly, still unfamiliar with its meaning, but then smiles, remarking on its strangeness with quiet admiration. One explains that humans gather in such times to share emotions like joy and fun, celebrating harvests and peace. The words puzzle the others, who question what joy is and confess they do not truly understand, yet they accept that it must be some kind of emotion unique to humans. A smirk crosses the face of the Zegard, who dismisses joy as nothing more than a useless emotion, yet admits that fun is something he understands. For him, fun lies in destroying, in the thrill of trampling, and in crushing all things into dust, and he asks if that is not what fun truly means. With that thought, he decides that if humans are sharing such fun, then it is perfect, for he will simply join them in it. The sounds of chatter and buzzing spread across the festival where people gather, throwing things playfully, cooking food, and moving about in lively crowds. Watching them, it becomes clear that the people of destruction, raised in violence, know nothing of creation or joy, yet Zegard, standing among them, feels something stirring. As he gazes upon the festival, his eyes widen with surprise, for the sight is irresistibly captivating. Breathless and munching eagerly, Zegard marvels at the food, unable to believe its taste, while shouting about how wonderful festivals are. Excitement pours out of him as he insists it is amazing, and nearby, the sight of Milky makes his heart beat heavily, stirring a reaction he cannot explain. A sudden clash follows as movement turns clumsy and frantic, smacks echo in the air, and words tumble out in confusion. Afterward, tension rises between them. One demands an explanation while the other apologizes, admitting not knowing what had come over them. The reminder of their mission cuts through the moment as they recall they have come to this world for conquest. Promises are made not to let their guard down again, though the warning is firm. Every human must be wiped out within 3 days. With that, Milky turns to return to the castle, leaving the burden upon Zegard. When alone, he collapses in frustration, ashamed at his foolishness. Yet with resolve, he thanks Milky in her absence, claiming he has come to his senses and swearing that this time, he will unleash total destruction. Explosions erupt around him as if to echo that vow. The scene shifts to a bath where laughter fills the air. Zegard sinks into the warmth, marveling at how soothing it feels, while Mr. Soda Terada, 78 years old, cheerfully invites him to join further. Later, greetings are exchanged with a kind woman, and villagers warmly ask if he has a place to stay, offering hospitality to the newcomer who seems out of place. Soon he finds himself delighted by futons in a community center, remarking how soft and fluffy they are, while Ms. A.I. Amakawa, 82 years old, watches his wonder. His amazement grows as he looks upon Earth, declaring it to be truly incredible. Time passes, and 3 days later, Milky appears again. Without a word, she delivers a sudden kick to Zegard, striking him sharply as he reels back, surprised by her force. She warns him about wasting time, accusing him of playing around instead of reporting on their mission. She reveals she has learned all she needs from elderly villagers such as Ms. Matsuya and Ms. Hajino, who spend their days peacefully, excelling at paper plate art. Zegard, caught off guard, can only protest weakly as she demands to know what he has been doing these past 3 days. Urgency grows when Milky speaks of their collapsing world, their dwindling people, and the need for land. She asks what he intends to do, and Zegard answers with determination that he will kill humanity. She presses further, questioning his resolve, and he insists he will do his best. Before leaving, she entrusts the task to him and promises to return again in 3 days. Left alone, Zegard whispers Milky's name, and in his hesitation wonders if there is any way to spare this world. His thoughts falter as he stumbles upon a house where the roof leaks, an old man inside unable to fix it because there are no young people in the village. Without realizing it, Zegard climbs up and repairs the roof. The villagers beam with gratitude, their smiles wide and warm, and seeing them fills him with an unfamiliar sensation. He realizes this must be what they call joy. Conflict tears within him. Milky condemns his weakness, calling joy an incomprehensible emotion unworthy of their kind. But Zegard pleads, promising to find another world quickly if only this one can be spared. She hesitates before agreeing, though she reminds him of the royal family's duty. Meanwhile, whispers arise elsewhere. Milky declares that this disgrace cannot stand, deciding to report to the king that his son has perished during conquest and bids farewell to the young master. A violent attack follows, slips and flutters marking the chaos, until Zegard reveals a piece of paper plate art, something the villagers had taught him to make. The scene shifts to the quiet focus on a paper plate, the simple craft introduced as paper plate art. Eyes widen when it is revealed to be made by himself. The drawing upon it shows 3 figures, Zegard, the king of destruction, and even that creature included alongside them. No words follow, leaving only the image to speak in silence, a pause heavy with unspoken weight. A sudden spark of realization follows, eyes widening as the thought takes shape. Could this strange sensation be what humans call joy? Confusion rises as the character struggles to understand, admitting that this feeling has never been experienced before. The moment grows heavier, breath faltering with the admission that even they are not immune. What once seemed like vague, inexplicable emotions now reveal themselves as something real, something learned during the past 3 days, and the truth settles in. They too are touched by these unfamiliar feelings. A voice rises with sudden urgency, marveling at the countless emotions discovered in this world, each one new and wonderful, and with that realization comes a cry of protest. The world must not be destroyed. The reply strikes back with stern authority, warning that to reject their mission of destruction is forbidden, for their survival hinges on the critical task of finding a new home. The heavy exchange is interrupted when a horned figure steps forward, asking in a blunt tone if what they truly need is simply a place to live, while a human in the background reacts in startled silence. Zegard dashes forward, calling out to Ms. Matsuya, who turns in surprise at the sudden approach. He speaks calmly to the boy beside him, explaining that their village has many empty houses and more than enough space for others to stay, though he reacts with a puzzled expression. His tone grows practical as he asks how many of them there actually are, and after a brief pause, the little creature admits awkwardly that it is only a small handful. A year passes, marked by the steady rhythm of drums and footsteps echoing through the air. The festival fills the village with life, a banner announcing the shrine's reconstruction as people gather in celebration. Amid the joy, voices recall the moment when the idea was first brought before the king of destruction, marveling at how those bound to ruin now live in coexistence with another world. His initial outrage still lingers in memory, as he had called it foolishness and insult, yet even so, the vision has become reality. A horned figure comments that he has completely adapted, and Zegard's voice quickly follows with doubt, questioning whether this path is truly right and what it means for their pride as people of destruction. Laughter breaks the tension, light-hearted and loud, dismissing the worry. Teasing follows as one reminds the other of asking for seconds the day before, praising the food as delicious, and calling out how easily even Milky has adapted. Flustered, she hides her embarrassment with a quick low kick, the playful strike punctuated by a sharp sound effect.